looks like he's decided he doesn't need me. Anyhow, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's another beautiful morning. Thought I would share with you guys what the view looks like this morning. I was looking over the videos and stuff and noticed I don't know if it's a new subscriber, but one of the subscribers, what is it, City Slicker Outdoor or something like that. Looks like a new van dweller, and actually I went over to his channel because he said he tried out the testing, to cool down your vehicle, and said it actually works. Of course it does, and I'll explain to you how it works, why it works and stuff, and how to even make it even cooler if you have access to water. But basically, wanted to point out that channel because it's interesting, because it looks like a new channel, and the guy there, I don't know his name yet, seems like a personable type of person. But what's interesting about it is I think he's in a minivan, possibly a full size, but I think a minivan with at least one dog. Yeah, I haven't really fully followed the channel, but from what I can tell, he's actually there with a dog in the van. So I had read some comments on there about some of you looking to possibly move into a van with your dog or whatever, or dogs. And my own gut reaction, my own feelings about it is really, I don't recommend it. But that's why I kind of recommend following City Slicker or Outdoors or whatever, because he's apparently doing it. I don't know if it's by choice or by necessity and stuff, but because he's actually seems like a legitimate channel, and he's got a dog, at least one dog, if not more. I haven't really, I just took a quick glance at his channel, but it may be worth following because it's a situation that he's having to deal with as it happens, and for better or for worse, you get to see what happens. But me personally, I would not have a dog or a cat in a minivan. The reason is that unless you're full-time and not having to work, if you're with basically if you have a pet, like a dog or a cat or whatever, um, and you live in a vehicle, you pretty much have to be around it 24/7. Because anything can happen to it, especially if you leave it in a vehicle that can get really hot. It could end up cooking. I prefer my pets to be like wild, like the squirrel here. Hi there. So the reason is pets and stuff. First off, dogs and stuff, they have fur, so it's already hotter for them. But the second thing is vehicles get really, really hot inside. They can get like 20, 30 degrees, maybe even 40 degrees hotter than ambient temperature. And unless you're running air conditioning continually for them, it's going to be very hard. Now, City Slicker said he was able to do it, and he was able to get the thing to cool down. For me, it might be interesting to see how he handles it with the dog, because I had that issue even at this park. I don't know if you guys remember during the hurricane, I guess about 2 years ago, we had that dog that reminded me of Tanner, the little stray dog I picked up at the beach. He was, running around loose. Hey, Potato Gaming, how's it going? The dog was loose, and I was afraid he was gonna get run over, so I took him in to try to track down his owner. I don't know if you guys remember that, but I had that dog with me for like 2 days, and it was difficult because the van hadn't been rigged, specifically designed with the dog in mind, and it's a minivan. And I even had issues, back then I had the hut. Do you remember the hut at Camp Freedom? I had the hut at Camp Freedom where I was planning on dropping the dog off and leaving him there, but I couldn't do that because when I went to the hut and I was going to chain the dog up, tie him down and stuff, I realized that the cougar might eat him. There's wild animals. Some of you are like, well, we're going to be on BLM land. We can let the dog out. We'll make a fence. We'll tie it or whatever. Maybe you don't understand. You go away and you come back and a bear or a cougar or a coyote or something has eaten your dog. So, leaving it outdoors seems like a great idea until you realize that animals see that dog as food. And if your dog is tied down, it's an easy target. It can't even get away. It's like just sitting there, like fishing, on a hook. So, do I recommend getting a pet for living in a van? Not unless you're able to watch it full time. If there's like two of you and one of you can be with the dog or whatever, it might be doable. If there's only one person and the animal, it's hard because like if you ever have to leave the van for whatever reason, like you need to go shopping or you need to get food, go to the bathroom or whatever, and you have to leave the animal inside, there's a chance that something bad can happen. Whether the animal get heat stroke or whatever, or somebody come by and they hear your dog barking in the car and they break the window to let the animal out, or they call the police or whatever. It can happen. Now, if you're still set on doing that, and try to follow the people who are doing it, because there are people doing it, but typically I think those who are doing it, they are not financially um, forced to do this. They're doing it on purpose. So they have a vehicle that's been rigged with air conditioning, and there's two of them usually, so they can watch their pet. One person can go inside a store to go shopping, and the other person stays with the pet. But even then, the pet kind of limits what you can do because you can't go everywhere with a pet. So, if you're still insisting on it because your pet is your life, your pet is like a little baby, I recommend trying to get an RV. Um, what you're looking for, honestly, if you're looking to possibly move into a vehicle because of financial situations, I recommend trying to get a used RV, kind of like what I got, even if it doesn't run so well, and getting a place where you can park it and pay rent, like a small amount of rent, like $100 to $300 a month for rent. Get an RV or a trailer that you can pay to have it towed there. And then, but you got to arrange all this beforehand. So right now, people are kind of going through a crisis situation with the world situation right now, especially in America. So a lot of people may be losing their homes soon when they lift the, like people are behind on their rent payments. They're going to lift that, and then the banks are going to come to try to foreclose on their houses and evict people out. So if you had to, I would recommend buying either a travel trailer, like a camper, or an RV, because it's basically a tiny house on wheels. And if you have air conditioning, you could run an extension cord, you know. But your biggest question is going to be finding parking space. So maybe if you have family that you can get to, or you have friends that you can stay with, the key would be trying to arrange it before you buy the RV or the travel trailer. And I recommend that because it's just going to be more like a house. I think, honestly, if you have to take a pet and live in a van or stuff, it's kind of cruel for the animal. And some people say, well, you're being heartless. No, I'm thinking of the animal. I don't know if you guys know I love dogs. I used to have pet dogs all my life. But you haven't really seen me get a dog or another pet while living in a van because I don't, I don't have the ability to spend 24/7 with it because I'm working. And I think it would be cruel to leave the dog or cat, whatever, in the van or even in an RV, but if you have one already and you don't want to get rid of it, I can understand that because they're like family, it's like, and a pet could be something that is a good thing for you because it keeps you happy, it keeps you alive, it gives you, what the heck was that? Did you see that big splash? What the heck was that? I wasn't looking because the sun was shining in my eye. Something jumped up. What the heck was that? It was huge. I don't know if our dolphin friends are here. I don't really... Oh, it's just fish. There's something chasing them underneath. This water is really not that deep. It's like 2 or 3 feet deep or less. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I would say get if you could afford it, get a Class B or a Class C RV. You can buy them cheap. Well, I don't know if you can buy them cheap anymore. Everybody's starting to buy them up. Buy them while you still can. People are buying them up because people can see the handwriting on the wall. You know, a lot of people are losing their homes and stuff. So um, that is what I would recommend. You know, I don't recommend traveling or having a pet unless you're able to spend time with it. Like you're not working and you're full time with the dog or the cat or whatever. Then you can kind of keep an eye on it and you can keep it cool. But if you're having to rig a vehicle and you have a pet, I would recommend honestly a full size vehicle, not a minivan. I know a lot of you may not understand how tight it is in a minivan, but minivan basically has room for you to lay down and sleep. That's it. There's really not much more room unless you're a tiny, tiny person. It looks bigger on the videos and stuff, especially with those channels that shoot with the wide angle lens. But a minivan typically has enough room for you to lay down. That's it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just get in a car. A minivan's not much bigger than a car. Okay. Um, Little Blue has the bed mode is made. That's all there is back there is a bed, and of course the cabinets and stuff. That's how tight it is. So if you're gonna have a pet and you're looking to build out something, despite me warning you not to, first step is try to make another living arrangement in a house or an apartment or a room. That's gonna be your best bet. If that is not an option and you have to have a vehicle, try to get a full size van and maybe even an extended van just to give yourself more room. But before you try to go for the van route, if you can find a good used travel trailer or RV that you can afford, that you can tow, that you can maintain, get that because it's going to be closer to a house. Remember what you're setting up for in this kind of case, if this is your situation, this is temporary. It's not a permanent fix. You're not doing this because you want to live the van life, you want the freedom, you're doing this for survival. And if you're doing it for survival, it's a temporary situation. So if you have to rent a room, get out of an apartment and rent a room from somebody's house, as long as they let you have your pet or whatever, um, do that. Because living in a van is really hard, honestly. Um, those channels that glamorize it, a lot of those people don't really live in a van, okay? They film in a van, they pretend to live in a van, they do all these adventures in a van, but they actually have a nice house. Some of them don't even, like they'll travel and they'll go camping for a couple weeks or a couple months maybe and even film in the van, but then they can go back to their nice house or apartment or whatever. So, the channels that are real, you're gonna tend to see them like is it City Slicker Outdoor or whatever. They tend to be kind of rough looking, and it's because that's what it really is like to live in a van. Because all your stuff is in that van. You don't have stuff in an apartment. If their van looks spotless, looks like a showcase vehicle, it's because their stuff's not all in it. They have stuff in storage or they have stuff in a house or an apartment somewhere. When you live in a vehicle, it looks like crap because it just you living there. I mean, you can clean it and decorate it and make it look nice for an episode, but as soon as you start living in it, like you sleep in it, you wake up in it, you go to the bathroom in it, you cook in it, you do whatever in it, like normal life stuff, it's gonna look like shit. The van's gonna look bad. It's gonna be disorganized and be disheveled, unless you always take the time to clean your van and put everything into its spot. Like a set, like a movie set, a TV set, or something. For me, I've been having to live in a van because of the situation, and this may actually change you within the next 6 months to 1 year at the most. But I'm not going to bring that up yet until I'm more sure what's going to happen. But if the changes happen, it'll be a major, major change to this channel in my life. So I appreciate all of you who've been following along. I do want to point out some other safety stuff because I saw how appreciative City Slicker um, Outdoors seemed for the tip for spraying water. He didn't know how it worked. I can kind of explain a little bit, but it has to do with evaporation. He like see like right now it's cooler here by this water than it would be if I was out in the desert because heat uh, will heat up the water and it'll evaporate into the air, and when it does that, it cools the temperature down like 15 degrees or 20 degrees cooler than ambient temperature, whatever the temperature is outside. And that's how that works. Just like when your body sweats and air hits it, you'll start to feel cooler because the air will pull away, will actually evaporate. It'll vaporize and evaporate the water that's on you, and then suck it up into the sky and become clouds. So, hardly any clouds here, but there will be later. Might even be a rainstorm here. Florida always looks so nice in the morning, and then by the afternoon, it is like hellfire and brimstone with thunder and lightning. But anyhow, when you have evaporation occurring, you also have cooling of the ambient temperature. And you can actually use that to your advantage. I'm going to show you some other things you can do to a vehicle to cool down. Believe it or not, if you have access to water and you're in a hot area and you can't park your vehicle in the shade or whatever, you can pour water on your vehicle on the outside. And if you know, like a car wash. So if you take some water and you have a spray water or a spray bottle or a mister, you know, one of those, remember the bug spray that I showed how to make a shower using a misting system? You know what I'm talking about? You pump it up with air and it slowly lets out a mist of water. You get one of those and you put it on the roof of your vehicle or whatever, and you have it mist your whole vehicle down. Your vehicle will cool down by 10, 15 degrees. Because what you're doing is allowing, so your body can sweat and the air will hit it and cool you down. A car can't do that. But if you spray it with water, it'll do that. And if you want to make it last a little bit longer, you could get towels or cloth and stuff and put it over the car and wet it down. And then it'll cool down. It'll cool the car down just like it would you. You know, so you're basically making the car so it can sweat. And if you want to take advantage of how it actually works and give yourself air conditioning, this is where we get the swamp cooler effect. You can take the towel, put it in water, and hang it up over an open window. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, I'm going to show you graphically, even though we can't really graphically because I'm not going to do it. But you see how little blue is sitting there? You just take a towel and you wet it, you soak it with water, and you wring it out. You don't need it dripping wet, you just want it damp. And what you do is you open your windows, whatever windows you can open down, and you hang the towel right over this, the wet towel. And what'll happen is air will blow through, hot, dry air will blow through the cloth. And on the other side, you're going to get cool air, like air conditioning. It's not going to be as cold as a real AC, you know, but it's cold. It's going to feel cold. And if you do it on all the windows that are open, of course, you know, you have to have towels and you have to have water. And once the towel's dry, you can do it again. But you just put it over the windows and you have the windows open. Air will blow through, get wet, and evaporate and become cold. And you can also spray your vehicle down with water. But, you know, of course, it means having access to water to do all that. But just some tips for those of you who are wondering how you can stay cool if you want. I don't bother doing that. Most of the time during the day, I would not spend it in a vehicle. And that's why having a pet becomes hard. You can see this is the O'Galley Library. If I were hanging out here all day, I would not be in this van where it's hot. I would be sitting in there where it's air conditioned. And I go in early in the morning and reserve one of these rooms right here. They have like a little office. And I would work on the internet and have electricity for my computer. Well, I don't have a laptop with me anymore, so that's kind of hard to do. Can't carry a whole desktop computer. But you could check out one of their computers, actually. You know, you have a library card. But anyhow, you could have the office and have a wonderful view all day while you're sitting in air conditioning. But if you're in a van and you're having to do that, parking by water, generally there's a breeze that'll come through. My windows will actually pop out because I don't have it locked down right now, but see how it pops out? And there's like a little mosquito screen here. See that? So if I let the windows out, which, say how the window was out all night while I was sleeping, it it lets air blow through. You get cross ventilation. And if I wanted to, I could put a wet cloth here, and that'll allow moisture, the air blowing through, to be cool. But that's what you can do to cool down. Me personally, like I said, I don't do that. To me, it would just take a lot of water and time. I'm kind of lazy. I don't want to be and then you look really bad. Your vehicle stands out because now you got wet towels all over yourself. That's a great way for cops to come and, hey, what are you doing? But I would just, if I was trying to cool down, I would just open both my doors, prop this open my rear, and then air blows through. And now, at that temperature, you're going to get ambient temperature. So the best you can do is match the current temperature outside. So if it's like 87 degrees or 90 degrees, that's the temperature you would match. But if you wanted it cooler than that, you use the wet towels and stuff, and you might be able to bring it down 5 or 10 degrees cooler. But the cost of it is water. So here's a rag here. When I was a mail carrier, I used to carry around a wet rag, an ice cooler with water and stuff, and I would have one of those rags, I think it's a chamois or something like that. It's kind of a leathery cloth thingy that can hold a lot of water, and I would put that out with water and put it on my neck, and what it would do is wet my back and my neck, and then the water would evaporate and give me a cooling effect. But that's some tips for staying cool. Like I said, the big thing about having pets, I can't really teach you too much about having pets and living in a van because I don't have one. I had one for 2-3 days and it was difficult. I had a hard time just going inside Walmart to buy food without leaving the dog, and he would bark all day. Somebody could break into my car trying to free that dog. The other thing is like leaving air conditioning running. You could leave, if I had a pet, I'd have to leave the car on, lock the door, and leave the AC running on the car. I would not want to leave a pet without air conditioning in Florida, and it's just, to me, it's just kind of, it's risking it for the pet. But if you have an RV, on the other hand, and you park somewhere where you have electricity, or you're able to run the solar enough to run the air conditioning, like the the RV good enough can actually run AC off grid. And that's not all day. It can only run it for a couple hours before the battery drains, and I got to reset the system. But in that case, you might be able to do it, But still, you're counting on the AC working when you're not there. And every step that you do, like using solar instead of gridded power, means that it could fail. It becomes a little bit more complicated because anything can go wrong. If you have the ability to hook up with electricity, like you're paying somebody to park in their yard, or you can actually afford to stay at an RV park, a campground or something, then it's a little bit better. It's like a house, because you have electricity, you have a pet, you can go to work and come back, with the AC running and stuff. That I would feel better about. And, so like I see a lot of the popular RV channels, they have pets because people like pets. A lot of people want to retire and they want to travel with their dog or their cats or whatever. And if you have an RV, you're able to do that. Most of those people doing that, if they're real, if they're legitimate, which most of the RVers tend to be, they are living full time and they're able to monitor their pets. They're 90% of the time they're with their pets. So they're able to run the air conditioning, keep that cool, and there's lots of space. It's like a tiny house, Whereas if you're in a van, you'll see very few van dwellers who do it other than the fakers. The people who you see that they always look so pristine, it's usually some hot looking chick that likes to, like this scene right here would have the girl in a bikini stretching in the sun doing yoga while her dog is jumping up and down in the distance playing frisbee. Those kind of channels and stuff, they're not real, okay? They're selling you fantasy. Um, I can do that for 5, 10 minutes and take my dog and go back home and put my dog back in his nice air conditioned house. You know, um, if you have to go into a little tiny van like that, it's not so pleasant. This minivan, it doesn't have enough room for, like, I could carry 2 adults in it, but if I have 2 adults and a dog, it's crazy. There's no room. I don't know how people do it. I've seen people do it in full-size vans. Like, I've seen them, park next to me, and I can hear the dogs and stuff. But it's usually a full-size van, and it's not the most ideal. Like, I'll see them. What they do is they keep the side doors open and the back doors open, and they have fencing, that they put up for the dogs, and they have to do that to get air circulation. It's even worse with the dog. You can see the dogs will generate heat just like you. They generate body heat. And in a confined space, it would get worse. So they spend most of their time parked under a tree. This is what I saw, at least. I suspect they were homeless, you know, not living the van life because it's glamorous or anything, but living the van life because they got evicted and they lost their home. And, they're trying to keep their pets, which is like their kids. So what they did was they would open up the van every day, and you could have a breeze blowing through. And the was there was more than one of them. I think it was like a man and a woman, but they had like 2 or 3 dogs. So to me that's a hard life, and some people are forced to do it because of the economy or circumstances or whatever. So I pray that if you're in that situation that you are able to get out of it. And if you're having to get into that situation, it's better to be prepared than not. But at the same time, if you know that you might be losing your home right now or your job, wherever you are, my advice would be instead of trying to build a van out right away, that should be there as a fail-safe. But your first priority should be trying to secure a new residence. So if, let's say, you're currently working and you have money and all that, and you know that your job might be going away, try to find another job before you lose your job. And if you know that you can keep your job, it's just that they're raising the rent and you're not going to be able to make payments and stuff, I would look at finding a new place to rent that you can afford. And if you can't do that, then I would look at getting an RV. But before even getting an RV, I would look around and make sure you know where you're going to park it. A lot of people will do it backwards. They go, oh, I have an emergency, and they get an RV, and then they try to find parking. That's not the way to do it, because if you get the RV and then you try to find parking and you can't find parking, you're going to lose the RV. The city will come and they will tow your RV and impound it, or some other weird, crazy shit. It's like a lot of society, at least in America, from what I've experienced so far, they're anti-poor, anti-homeless. So, and even if you're not homeless, like you're not on the street, you're living in an RV, they're going to make it so you lose your RV. They will pass all sorts of city ordinances. You can't park overnight. You can't do this. You can't do that. We don't want homeless people in their RV all over our streets. We won't set aside as a society a place for RVers, who are not travelers and stuff, but broke people to park while they try to reset themselves. It's like if you have an RV and you have a job and you're able to pay for parking, they don't even have affordable parking. That to me is ridiculous for a country like the United States. You cannot even have a reserved area where you have running water and bathroom and electricity for RVers to use, where they could pay like maybe $200-300 a month, just to pull those resources. Cities should provide that, because the cities are destroying. One of the biggest things I saw on social media is a term called gentrification. I had to look it up, see what the heck that was all about. But apparently gentrification is where rich people, which is what you see happening, because in rich areas it gets too expensive for them to live, they start buying up beat up old places like in a poor area, like a poor side of town. So what they would do is buy land and develop a whole housing area, or they will buy houses there and tear it down and renovate it and rebuild it. And you're like, what does that have to do with anything? What happens is, let's say the average house there where they buying the house was $50,000. Okay, so the property taxes there are for houses for $50,000. So all the poor people who can only afford those those cheap houses lived there. Well, the rich people go there, they buy up the $50,000 homes, tear it down, and put up a $200,000 home. Now property taxes for that area goes up. And you're like, what does that have to do with anything? Well, remember those $50,000 homes? Their value starts to go up. So instead of $50,000 the next year, they might have to pay taxes on $60,000, then $70,000, then $90,000, then $100,000, then $150,000 on their crappy $50,000 home. When the property tax starts going up, they can't afford it. And you're like, well, they could sell the house for a profit. They could, but the problem is this: the reason those rich people are moving to the poor areas, rich areas went up too. They're more expensive. So a poor person who bought their house, who's living in a $50,000 home, they could sell the house for $150,000, but then wherever they go, they can't buy another house. The houses elsewhere are like $1 million. Now you see the problem? So gentrification is what they're saying is one of the reasons you're seeing all those people protesting and trying to demand that the rich people give up their homes and stuff like that. Gentrification is occurring because it's going to happen right here with some of you who are possibly losing your homes. You're looking at, shit, I got to find a cheaper place to live. So you end up selling your house that you're about to lose, and then you go to a poorer area, and of course you're rich in the poor area, and you buy up one of those houses, $50,000 home that you're going to fix up because you're used to a certain standard of living. And you're going to make that house nice, which is normal, which is good. But the problem is when you do that, you raise the value. And some people think, well, raising the value of a neighborhood is good. It's good if you have the money. It's bad when you don't have the money. When you were one of the poor people living in a $50,000 home that looks run down and like shit because you couldn't afford to fix it. You understand? So but that actually has to do with what's going to happen with this channel. And I'm going to give you guys some tips and stuff if it happens. I won't talk too much about it unless it all goes through, because if it goes through, it kind of gives a blueprint. Like this channel's kind of been providing a blueprint on like how to live in a vehicle, how to live in a van, how to fix up a cheap RV, how to fix it up on a dime, like without spending too much money. I'm trying to show people things you can do if you need to, for survival. It's never really been about luxury on this channel. It's always been about not dying. And if we can throw in a little bit of luxury, a little bit of niceness, like side effects of living in a van is stuff like this, having a beautiful view in the morning. That's a bonus. But the main thing that I've tried to cover with this channel has pretty much been showing people, how I do things. Look at that. See, this is one of the side effects of a bad situation. Living out of a vehicle, bad, but having the ability to wake up to a beautiful sunrise and a view like this, that counteracts badness. Now, some of you might be wondering on my current financial status. Okay, I have been working a decent job. It's not full-time, it's part-time, but I've been living out of the van, so that's been actually saving some money. And I've been caught up on my child support. One of the kids is actually now a legal adult, so child support got reduced. Things are returning to some normalcy for me. So that's one of the changes you're going to see, is that I actually am looking to potentially officially end my homelessness and my poor status. You might actually see a major change happening on this, and you're like, how's he doing it? It has to do with the value of money, understanding what money is, and how you can make money become more money without really doing too much. But it has to do with your mindset and realizing certain options are available or may be available. And some options are available to some people and not others. Everybody has different set of options available. But I'm going to show you my situation, which is basically I will be shifting myself out of homelessness, really without government help or anything like that. But by circumstance and situation, and also having to make some sacrifice, which is kind of bad. I have to do something that I don't want to do, but I have to do it for my own life. It has to do with, we'll talk about it later. It gets kind of deep, but those who have been with me, you know how I got into this situation. And some people say, well, he was stupid. I made certain decisions and I made certain choices based upon my value set. I refused to abandon my kids. And for that, I was put into this situation. And I don't regret it because, I spent 10 years with my children despite the situation. And somebody would say, well, you could have been better off by getting a good job and blah, 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 blah. That's not the route I went. I went with the route of keeping my eye on my children and making sure they were okay. And the result of that was this. I ended up living in a van. But I think that I do believe in a higher being. I believe in God. And I do believe that each of us, have a purpose in life. And I never saw myself as being a YouTuber or anything like that. And this situation threw me into YouTube and threw me into the point where I'm actually talking to you right now on a video on YouTube. So I don't think this is random. Just so you know how dangerous it is out here. But I don't think this is random. I think that I'm supposed to be here for now, just as hopefully I'm supposed to be where I want to go next. And where I go next is actually going to be a huge, huge change from what you've been seeing on this channel. But hopefully I will continue to be able to provide some ideas for those people who are in similar situations looking to get out. He has a bird in his mouth. Yeah, he has a fish. Look at them. They got fish in their mouth. I don't know if you can see the glittering. Well, he ate it. Now he's going to fish. See that? See the glittering? That is a fish. Talk about super fast reflexes. The birds there actually can see the fish in the water, and they spear it with their beak. See if we can get him fishing again. See that? Every single time. He puts his beak down, and he catches the fish, and he swallows it whole. Watch again. Look at that. Every single time. Now that is skill. But that's why these animals are alive. They have skills. Oh, he missed. He missed. And he missed again. So maybe he's not as perfect as I thought. Got one. Got one. As long as he gets it more than he doesn't get it. Because, every time he moves, every time he does something, he's using energy. So, for the birds and stuff to live, they gotta be good fishermen. The bad ones, they don't make it. That's kind of how life is, even for humans, huh? You either have the skill set that it takes to survive, or you don't. And sadly, skill sets are becoming more critical right now. Skill sets are becoming more critical right now than they were in the past, because a lot of resources and things are being taken away. Speaking of which, you might start to see more boats, because that's the sailboats and houseboats and stuff like that soon, because people are literally, over the next, I suspect next year or two, going to be losing their homes. And they're going to be looking for all sorts of options. More gentrification may occur. That's the first option. I think the rich people are going to move to poor areas. They're going to buy up all those poor houses and stuff. The beat up old houses and fix them up. So they will be okay. But those poor people will be displaced. They will lose their homes. And if you're poor and somebody, you have a $50,000 home, someone's offering you $100,000, you might think that's a great deal, because you're like, shit, I doubled my money. Bought the house for $50,000, I can sell it for $100,000. So you sell the house for the 100,000 thinking you're rich until you go elsewhere and see all the other houses are $500,000. And you can't even find a $50,000 home anymore because remember the $50,000 home you sold? The houses there now are $150,000 to $200,000 now. So the money you got, you can't even use to buy another one. Anyhow, I am going to go ahead and sign out. Wanted to thank you all for joining me. I'm going to look through your messages real quick here. And just scrolling through here. Gloria's talking about the pets in the car. Yeah, a lot of people don't, like in a house it's bad, but it's even worse when you're in a vehicle. We're talking about like pets shedding and stuff, and pets secrete, slime and other gross stuff. And I don't know if you know this, pets are prone to getting sick too. So can you imagine a dog or with a bad tummy flu all over your car, all over your vehicle? That happens, and it's real life, and you'd have to deal with it. Just scrolling through here. Hey, Angry, you didn't have to do that. Just give me $20 for Publix. That was very nice of you to do that, buddy. You didn't have to do that. So, but I'm hoping, I'm not hoping, I'm actually planning, and you guys are going to see some changes here. I'm going to let you know what's going on right now on this end, and I'm going to talk a little bit about money, okay, and changes. I told you that one of my kids is now a legal adult, so I don't have to pay child support for 2 kids now. I only have to pay for 1. And that helps because now it's only half the payment. The other issue is I did get the amounts, the arrears caught up. Actually, it was more than caught up. What had happened was it was caught up in December, January of last year, this past December, January. And they didn't reduce the amount. They kept pulling more than the amount to catch up on the arrears. And COVID set in. So they've been pulling extra money for the last 6-7 months. And of course, I've been trying to call them and nobody answers the phone. About a month ago, I finally managed to get through and they're like, oh yeah, you're right. It's been caught up for 6-8 months. It's been caught up for 8 months. So they stopped the extra payment. Now, they're not going to refund me. That's how the state works. The ex-wife got all that extra money and the state gets to keep the money, all the fees and stuff. But at least they'll reduce the amount. So at this point right now, I'm only paying for 1 child, which means I get more money coming in from my earnings. They're no longer taking like 65-85% of my income. So they're only taking more like about 30%, 35% of my income. So that helps a lot. That will help with doing what I'm going to do next, which is not the final step, but the next step I'm going to do, which you're going to see possibly even later tonight or tomorrow, the RV. I don't know if some people had concerns about the RV. They were like, man, Denoy, the RV seems to be a money bucket. Seems to be, you could live in the van pretty much for free. Why do you still have the RV? It's because the situation right now with COVID, all the resources for van dwelling has been removed. Like I would say 80% of it is gone. So the ability to shower at like Planet Fitness is gone. So what are you going to do? Jump into the river here and swim every day? You could do that if you didn't have to go to work, okay? And I would do it. It feels good, and you don't have to go to work. Even though the water may not be the cleanest, but it's still better than sitting around all stinky. So the fact is, oh, I scared him away. Didn't mean to do that. So the fact is, the van is cheaper to live in because I don't have to pay any rent. I can park, and if I wanted to, I could park off the causeway there. at night and have a nice breeze blowing through. And basically, cost of rent is zero, other than gasoline for driving around and food. And I make my own electricity, so it's a great situation if you're a single person, if you don't have dogs and cats and all that extra stuff. But things like if you have to go to a regular job and work on a regular basis, it's difficult because showering becomes a problem. I would have to go to the beach because they opened the beach back up here and shower at the beaches or shower in the river or, wipe myself down with wet wipes, which is ridiculous. I mean, it's better than nothing, but a real shower is better. And I bring all this up because the RV has all that. The RV is essentially a tiny house on wheels. And it has showers, it has electricity, it even has air conditioning. The only problem it didn't have, okay, and I say didn't because I've kind of resolved it temporarily, is the ability to park it somewhere where I could live in it. And part of that problem is I am in Florida, which is like RV heaven or RV haven for all the people in the United States. A lot of people come here with their RVs and they take up all the parking spots, at the campgrounds, and they charge a lot of money. Like the average camping spot here, when I say camping, I mean where you can hook up an RV and it has running water, electricity, and sewer and stuff like that, is anywhere from $500 to $1,600. You're like, $1,600 to park an RV? Yeah. At the luxurious campgrounds and stuff like that, they could charge you $1,600 a month just to park your RV. So, I, since I had the RV and I've been working and they've been reducing the amount of money that they're taking out from me, I have been able to save some money enough to try to do a deposit to try to get parking for the RV. And that is important because living in a van is hard. I've been doing it, I can do it, but it's not easy. Okay, especially during COVID, because bathrooms are shut down, showers are shut down, facilities aren't available. Okay, if I could travel around the country, I would do that, but I'm working. So, and then I still have visitation with my kids and all this other stuff, normal stuff. So, the best option is if you can get an RV and pay for parking, and it's cheaper than an apartment or something. Get the RV, pay for parking at a campground. Now, Florida, like I said, is kind of limited, but I have secured parking for my RV. Right now, it's in storage, and I've been kind of living in it, but it doesn't have running water. I have to bring the water. I self-generate the electricity, which means I can only partially run the air conditioning and everything. And sewage is an issue. What I was doing was renting campground every couple weeks or every month or two, and then dumping the RV there because they don't have any RV dumping facilities around here that I could find. The only place I could find it was at campgrounds, and I would get a campground pass for like 1 or 2 nights and take the RV there and actually camp and dump the sewage and stuff into the RV campground sewage. So basically, I secured parking for good enough. It's going to be expensive. It actually will cost me more than renting a room, but less than renting an apartment. So, but what it gives me is basically a tiny house on wheels that will have access to electricity 24/7. But I'm in Florida, so you guys know how that goes. FPL, Florida Flicker Power and Light. It'll go on and off. But I will have access to sewer, I will have access to running water and electricity. So I will actually have stability. So you're going to see some changes in that sense, in the sense that I will be living in an RV. Of course, I'm spending more money, so it's going to be expensive. My living expenses just went way up, okay? Because now I'm like having to pay rent. But, I'm doing it because of the situation. Oh, there's our friend. Did you see it? That's our dolphin friend that we've been waiting for. Dolphins here. Trying to figure out if I can get out there. I thought that maybe he had died or changed his route or something, but our dolphin friend is here somewhere. He was up. I don't see him. What I'm looking for is like air bubble, this round bubble coming up. And a bird came back because that's apparently a very good fishing spot. Okay, there's some kind of bubbling there, so that may be the dolphin getting ready to pop up. If I was wearing shorts right now, instead of long pants, I would walk in that water and go right up and see if the dolphin would come up to me. See the swirl right there? The water swirling? He might actually even see me. But he can't come all the way up here because the water here is super, super shallow. It's like, I don't know if you can see the water here. It's not that deep, but he's right over there. Where the circle is right there. See the water spinning? That is him. I'm pretty sure that's him. He's probably gonna go up right over there by the waterway. Maybe we'll go over there, but then I'll lose the ability to broadcast because I'm on the library's Wi-Fi right now. There he is. He just popped up out of the water. But that's how you can spot dolphins and stuff. What you're looking for, if you're ever out in a place like this, listen. And if you hear, okay, that's probably a dolphin or a manatee. But mostly dolphins do that. They go, what's happening is he's blowing water out of his snout. You know, dolphins, a lot of people think they're fish. They're actually mammals like us. And they actually hold their breath while they're underwater. So that's why dolphins can die when they get tangled in a fish net. They cannot, unlike fish have gills that take oxygen out of the water. Dolphins have lungs like us. And if they can't come back up for air, they literally drown. They drown, just like we would. So it's important, you know, for fishermen and stuff to make their nets and stuff like that dolphin safe, so that dolphins can get out if they happen to get caught in there. But anyhow, as I was saying, I am going to be parking the RV at an RV park. So you're going to see a little bit more normalcy. You might see me, I might even bring you through the whole process of what's happening with me in my life and the major, it's going to be the biggest change to the channel since the channel was formed. And it may give a roadmap for those of you who are possibly getting ready to lose your homes. You know, like right now you have a fairly stable life. But looking at the situation, it might be kind of, you can see the handwriting on the wall. I think it's going to be more beneficial for those people who have steady pay, like whether it be, retirement or a pension of some sort. And some of you are on like Social Security. I don't know if you know what's happening. They're trying to get rid of it completely, which got me a bit pissed off. But, you know, I can't even claim it for more than another 10 years, 12, 15 years, which I don't even know if I'm going to be alive in 10, 15 years with the way things are going right now. But they're trying to get rid of Social Security. And for those of you who don't understand how it works, that money that's in Social Security is your money. Remember all the taxes that they charge for Medicaid and Social Security? That's your money that was supposed to be set aside so that when you're older and can't work anymore, there would be some money coming back to you to help pay for you to stay alive. What they're trying to say now is that a benefit. It's not a benefit. It's your money. It's like somebody taking your money and saying they'll give it to you later, and then they just run off with it. But that's what the government's trying to do right now. So I'm a little peeved at that because I've been working all my life, and I put a lot of money into Social Security and Medicaid and stuff, and they're trying to get rid of it. So, you know, that is an issue. My plan won't involve Social Security, even though if I live long enough, eventually it would. But I don't even know if Social Security is going to be around at that point. They're trying to get rid of it within the next year or two, potentially. The other thing that's going to occur that's going to help me a little bit is I'm actually looking at early retirement. And somebody's like, how are you looking at retirement when you're homeless and unemployed? I wasn't always homeless and unemployed. I actually had a decent job with the state. And even though it got cut short, which was going to screw up my retirement, I think I still qualify for retirement and stuff. I know I qualify for retirement and stuff. And I'm going to try to retire early, which is bad. I could lose as much as 60%, 50 or 60% of my retirement by retiring early. But the fact is this, if you've been just living, if you've just been even paying attention to life in general right now, life expectancy has dropped way down for everybody. You know, you could end up, and I know some of you think it's not real, but I'm letting you know it's affecting people, affecting me and affecting people around me, so it is real. COVID is real. Coronavirus, the pandemic is real, and people are dropping. So I'm going to try to claim retirement. I'm going to file for retirement. And when I file for retirement, it won't give me a lot of money, only a little bit. But I'm going to show you how we take that little bit and we amplify it without really doing too much, just by changing our mindset and realizing that this is an option. So stay tuned for that. I am going to go ahead and head out. Wanted to thank you all. Hey, George, good to see you on here. Kat, nice to see you. And Maggie, always a pleasure. Thank you for monitoring the channel. Zelda, good to catch you on here as well. I'm going to do a quick call out. What time is it in Florida? I don't know. Probably about 8 now. 7:44, Kat was saying. Yeah, Maggie doesn't give out information, and I don't recommend giving out information. There are, you know, they're still after me, but I don't want to even get into that. That whole mess, I'm like, screw them. You know, I'll just continue, and I decided to go ahead and bring the channel back because I think people need it right now. You know, and that's why I brought back the old videos. The old videos, I don't know, a lot of people don't know how important those are, but they show as things are happening. That's one of the reasons I was referring people to, was it the urban, that I forget the channel I just promoted at the beginning of this video. But I'm promoting him because his channel looks like it's just starting, and he's got at least one dog, if not two, with him. And he's living, it looks like he's really living in the van. It doesn't look like one of those fake channels. So you can follow and see things because he's going to end up experiencing it and having to deal with the solution. Because either you're able to come up with a solution that works to keep you alive and to make things better, or it's over. You die. This is not like a video game where you can respawn. You either can make it or you can't. You know, there's no, we're gonna re-roll. So I recommended following that channel because it's kind of like when people were following my channel when it first started. Either I figure it out or I don't. Angry says to get the sandwich. Okay, I am going to go ahead and sign out. Sherry Van wants to know the channel name. Here's how you can find the channel. If you look through my old videos from a couple weeks ago, I had a video where I talked about cooling down. You know, Little Blue had broken down, and the temperature inside got like to 99 or 100 degrees inside the van. And because I was just sitting there and I couldn't really run the engine, it wasn't starting and stuff, so I couldn't run air conditioning. And I was stuck out there waiting for the tow truck to show up. I showed how I took water and a misting, you know, sprayer bottle, and I misted the entire vehicle, and it cooled it down like 10, 15 degrees. Okay. The person there, that urban guy, gosh, I forgot his name already. My brain's, this is how you can tell you're becoming senile, getting old. He decided to try that, and it worked. And he posted that he tried it out and it works. I went to check out his channel, and it looks like really good content. I mean, it's just starting, so I don't know if it's going to be truly good or not. But we can see that he's really living in a vehicle, and he's got a dog at least, if not more than one dog. And I want to see how he does and what solutions he comes up with and how he handles, you know, living in a van with dog. So those of you who are interested in that, you'll want to follow that. Yeah, anyhow, I took his comment there on that video of me cooling down the van using water, okay, the sprayer bottle, and I pinned it. So what you can do is click his icon, his avatar, and it'll take you to his channel. Then hit subscribe. He's only got like 1 or 2 subscribers. I'm one of them. I just hit subscribe button when I saw his channel. I'm like, okay, this is a new van dweller. He's gonna try this out, and it looks like he's gonna be similar to me in the sense that he doesn't have a lot of money. He doesn't have like a really nice, fancy ass van. It's something that he's thrown together for survival. It looks like a survival type situation. So what makes it interesting for me is he's got a dog, and he's actually going to try it with the dog, which I would not recommend. But you have to do what you have to do. If you're a dog owner and that dog's been your friend, and you're forced into a situation where you have to live in a van, I know it's hard to get rid of that pet, you know. And I would probably even try it too, you know, because that pet's more than a pet. It's like a buddy. So anyhow, check out that channel. It is it's going to be pinned to my video on cooling down the van when the little blue was broken down, and it's like the thumbnail shows thermometer. It shows one of those flat panel gray thermometers that have the temperatures that's like 95 or 96 degrees in the readout. So go to that video, and it is the pinned video on that channel. And then go to his channel, and you can follow along. And, send him some love. So until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Please stay safe. You will see me in the RV continuing the renovations. I am fixing that RV up as nice as possible without spending too much money. So we'll talk about, buying a used RV like that and fixing it up, and why I did what I did, and why I only spent what I spent, and how you can do it too, and when something is important, when it's not important, and basically how to do what I did. So until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Please stay safe. Bye-bye now.